Hello, this is John Speelman with the video version of my latest column, number 177 apparently, which is coming out on Sunday, September the 4th. I'm recording today on Friday the 2nd, and I'm just going to check that we are recording, which means we'll have a slightly funny screen for a second, and it says we are. Good. Right. Is it happy? Yeah, it is. Good. So I've called this Murder in a Vacuum, and what happened was I was watching, I think I was maybe playing through rather than watching some of the Blitz from St. Louis, and I had an engine on the background, as you tend to, and I suddenly noticed a move, and I thought, wow, that's not a move that I would think of, or certainly not in a Blitz game. So I thought, well, let's have a look at it, and then I used it here. Now the thing is that computers, because they have total analysis of the first few moves anyway before they start being selective, they will see things that we just don't see. There are moves you just think, cool, that's a good move. I did not see that at all, and I think this is one of them. It's the diagram down here, and I hope you can see it okay. And black to play, and I think that in a Blitz game the chances of any human being finding this move are close to zero. Of course, any machine finds it instantly. In a slow game, it's a bit less clear, because, well, you have time to think. I think Vasyl Ivanchuk would probably find this move because he's sort of got this incredible imagination. And you could imagine some other people might, but not very many. Very, very difficult to do. So, the move I'll show you in a minute, because I'm going to go to the chess base. Well, actually, I'll go to the chess base first, and I'll show you. So it's actually this one here. Here is the diagram if you want it again, with black to move, and the move is the extraordinary knight h5. And what actually happened, knight h7 was a sensible move, and queen e5 was played. After this he was a bit worse, and he made a mistake. He blundered with bishop e6. He was clearly worse anyway. And something very bad happened to him. And here white is winning material and black resigned. One's winning the least exchange. But the interesting thing is knight h5. So this is a sacrifice on an empty square, and it's a double deflection. If rook takes knight is the main line, and then black has the glorious rook g3 check. Here, check, here, or king h4, either queen check is mate. Three of them actually. And that's checkmate, which is very, very pretty. And, you know, just random, I mean, it just happens to work. If queen takes knight, you can just play queen d3. There are no checks because the queen's been deflected. Or no sensible checks anyway. And there is actually no defence. There's nothing you can do about this. Say you try rook d1 check here. I mean, this is hopeless. I mean, even if you won the bishop with the rook, then the queen and the pawns would mate white in short order. So, very, very nice. There are a couple more variations. I went queen e3, rook h5. h7, I think you actually are able to win the rook with a few checks. So you try rook h5, and you can just play king g8 if you want to. But you can take some stuff probably first, I don't know. Anyway, it's obviously winning. And what else was there? There was queen g7 check take here, which I thought was rather clever at the time. Well, first you can play knight h5 and queen h8. Secondly, you can just do this, and then you're mating him anyway. And you have a piece more than knight and g7, so it just doesn't work. But I did notice check and h7, and I thought, well noticed anyway, Jonathan, even if that's not very important. So this is a fantastic combination, and the main line ending with this glorious mate with the Queen and D4. Absolutely beautiful. So working from there, I thought, well, that was a sacrifice on an empty square, which is always quite hard to see. What sacrifices do I know of on empty squares? And I thought first of the Queen sacrifice to deflect a king onto a knight fork. So the most famous one is this one. This is the famous game, Petrosy and Spassky, isn't it? It's a World Championship game. Spassky allowed at some point an exchange sacrifice, which was pretty foolish of him, I think, really. The exchange sacrifice was obviously going to be okay. Somewhere around about here. Yeah, he just played knight e3, and now suddenly White has a wonderful position with all these pieces working. And what actually, a second exchange sacrifice, very nice. Pieces build up, and at the end there was this very pretty finish. Takes, and check. Very nice. And of course after king takes, knight takes. And I think I said it had something of a drafts combination about it. Yeah, it features rather than deaches, but we won't bother. So this was very nice, and then I gave a couple more examples. And actually, I meant to give an example of Queen F1 check, allowing knight E3 check, but I mean, okay, same difference really. Here we are. This is a blitz game. I don't think it's bullet, where Artemiev played Queen D5. He should have gone H3 first. If he'd just gone H3 and Queen D5, the game would have ended in a draw forthwith. But in fact, he went Queen D5, takes, Queen takes pawn, and Geary took literally a second to do this, which I was very impressed by, not because the combination itself is difficult, but because seeing it that quickly is pretty impressive. I think I was watching, or somehow I knew about what the clock times were anyway, but I think I was actually physically watching at the time. Excuse me. And actually Geary didn't win this ending, but it was just rather fantastic. And then I gave another example, which is one where in this position Black played knight d7, and obviously it's completely obvious now what White should do. Just Queen h8 check wins easily, but White didn't see it. You should do. I mean, it's not that hard, really. Once you've seen this deflection, once you've seen it. White didn't play Queen h8, and later they drew. So then I was thinking, what other sacrifices are there on empty squares? And I thought of a couple of examples. Well, first I gave Capablanca, Bernstein Capablanca, which is a famous game. Capablanca outplayed Bernstein, and your man took this pawn thinking he was being clever, because if Queen b1 check, Queen f1, Rook d1 2 question marks, Rook c8 check. But Capablanca played a lovely Queen b2, and that won. Queen takes Queen, there's Rook d1 mate, Queen e1, there's Queen takes Rook. Interestingly, you can try Rook c8, and then Rook takes Rook would lose to Queen takes Queen, but you just give a check on b1 or a1. It's just worth noting that's there, because if that weren't there, I think it always would be, given the nature of the combination. I don't know, could you set up a position in which Rook c8 was a winning move? You probably could, couldn't you? If you put a, I don't know, a knight and a3, and white knight and a3, black bishop and b1, that might be a move. I don't know if Rook c8 is that good, because you can play Queen b6, but at least it's interesting. Anyway, it doesn't work here, of course. So that was that. Control R, I don't know what I've done, but not very much. Then I I made my own bat rank. It's just a little exercise which I tend to use with people the first time I have a lesson with them, just to see how their tactics are. And so this is a bat rank puzzle, white to win. Sorry, you can see it, but I should have put it in replay training. And if you're conversant with these things, you know what it is immediately. I would assume an international master, a grandmaster, a good club player should see the right move very, very quickly. And the right move is Queen A7 with the deflection. There are some other moves you can try. You can try Queen E4, which almost works, but doesn't, because a queen takes queen, check, Queen E8, exclam. So, and Queen B4 you can take, check, Queen back, take, I don't know, H6 or H5, one of them. And black is much better. The game continues. But Queen A7 wins. Bishop D5 is about the best you can do. Queen takes rook, queen takes queen, check. There are other moves. You can try Queen 8 takes queen, check. Or you can try rook takes check. I don't know. There's nothing anyway. There's absolutely no defence. Now the reason I made this, actually, it's only a tiny little puzzle, is because then if you load the next diagram here, and we'll try to put it in replay training quickly. Oh, I'm still failing, I'm much too slow. Here you can try Queen A7 again. Can you even see what the difference is between this and the previous position? You should be able to if you're a strong player. The difference is that white's pawn's on H3, and on H3 it doesn't defend G3, and this means that Queen A7 now doesn't work. You can try Rook C7 if you like, but Queen B8 is okay. Queen D7, Bishop B6. So you could try this as well. Queen B8, Queen, and save Queen D7. Then Bishop B6. And black has defended himself. But if you play Queen A7 question mark, there's now the counter blow Rook takes G3 check. If you play King F1, you get mated, of course. I mean, not really worth thinking about. Clearly you get mated one way or another. And if you play Rook takes Rook, sorry, if you play Rook takes Rook, Queen takes Queen, there is only one Rook on the file. And if you play Pawn takes Rook, then you've opened the diagonal. And this is check down here. So, the point of this really is just that you have to look at the whole board to make sure your tactics work, because sometimes an apparently small change on the other side of the board, say you're simplifying some ending, obviously it matters if you can get a passed pawn at the end of this combination. If you can get a passed pawn, you may be winning. If you can't, you might even be losing. Just moving a pawn one square, having A2 and B2 against A4 on the queen side rather than A3 and B2 against A4 might make a combination completely work or not work. So the next one is a game, Adams against Torre. This is a famous game. I think it's probably apocryphal in the sense that they played a game, they got somewhere near there, they thought this would be an interesting thing, and then they made a game that reached it. But I could be wrong, of course. So, and ChessBase had it, and for some reason somebody had put in some opening notes. God knows why. It's nothing to do with the opening of this game. You know, I mean, opening notes have their place, but here there's absolutely no reason whatsoever to stick in all this stuff here. So what? The point of this game is that after these moves, well, you can play knight d7 almost any time. By the way, you can play knight d5 if you want to at this point. Knight d5, pawn takes, bishop takes. And white's a bit better, but that wouldn't be bad. What actually happened was he took rook e8, rook e1, and at some point now you need to play knight d7, and the position is maybe a tad better for white, but nothing special. Certainly nothing a lot. What actually happened, though, apparently, or what we're told, that he went a5, which seems completely meaningless to me. Rook to there, rook to there. Again, you could play h6 now. Now, actually, black's in deep trouble because of the pin on the e-file. And he tried queen d7, apparently, which... take. If you take with the pawn, the position is utterly disgusting, that you don't lose immediately. And now we have a long sequence in this famous position of white chasing the black queen. The queen and the rook both have to defend the e8 rook, so you start with queen g4. Queen only has one square. It's very important that the knight in f3 protects the e1 rook. If it didn't, then rook takes rook would work, if that was a bishop in f3. Well, bishop g4 would have won, I suppose. Or maybe, I don't know. But rook takes rook would be possible. Because the knight protects the rook, none of this is. Queen c4, another beautiful move. By the way, if a4, queen takes rook, and black wins. Queen to there, queen to there, queen to there. You can't play queen takes b7 yet because of queen takes rook. Rook takes queen. Rook c1 check, knight e1. I suppose we should finish this off. We should go knight e1. Rook takes knight, rook takes rook checkmate. And the trapper is trapped. But there's a beautiful move here in this position. There's the move a4. Now, you have to take it, actually. You don't have another choice. If rook e4, this is the hardest move of the combination. Threatening to take the queen. Queen takes rook, rook takes queen doesn't help. King f8 doesn't help because of queen d6 check. G6, you play... Sorry, g6, you play queen takes rook. And you win a rook. So he goes queen back, and now you can take, because the rook isn't on e2 anymore. And this wins. There's absolutely no defence against... Well, you have to go off the diagonal, and then rook takes rook is mate in a couple more moves. So a very beautiful game. Whether it's real, it doesn't really matter. It is the archetypical back rank combination game. And I finished, actually, with something which isn't a sacrifice, but almost is, which is my game with Lev Psakis from Hastings, a move I'm very proud of, even though it's demonstrably unsound. And I said I originally annotated it for Chess Informant. You can see the Chess Informant 45 up there. God, they're a long way past there now, aren't they? So this was Hastings 1987. I can't remember. I can remember the room we were in. We weren't in the Fillets Hall at that point. And we weren't in the White Rock either, I don't think. I don't know where we were. Anyway, what happened was I played this as black. I just made it up what I was doing. I used to. And white's got the two bishops and got some advantage, maybe. We played some moves. And somewhere around about here I offered a draw, which is a bit pathetic. But I wanted to find out if he was going to try to kill me, because if he was, I had an idea. And I didn't think I could bear to play the idea. If... I'm not sure when. Perhaps it was here anyway. I chose this ridiculous idea of immuring my own knight. Now, unfortunately, this is unsound. It's probably... question exclam, I don't know, 2 question marks, 2 exclams, whatever you like. And the way to do this, rook c4 is the right move, knight d4. And unfortunately there is a way to win here, which is rook a1, knight b3. And now this move, and you just win. The game is over. Bad luck. I mean, you can try to play c4 or something, but I think bishop e4 is going to win, is it? I guess you could try to play c4 here now, or a4. Try to double your rooks, but I mean, you can just go bishop e4, and you'll be able to get the bishop to c3, and you'll have an extra Extra piece, presumably. I'm looking and thinking, is there any trouble at all? But I'm sure there's not. So, unfortunately, this was unsound. But what happened was that I had discombobulated my opponent in the strongest possible sense. He played b3, which leaves the knight with more room to get out. We started playing moves. So I've won the exchange, actually, but the position's still unclear because my knight's trapped. f5. He was in time trouble. g5 here, f4, he took. Played bishop d3. I thought bishop b5 was an okay move, but actually then there is a trick, as Its Highness Stockfish told me today, which is this trick. Takes, presumably. Here, here, check, here, here. Takes here, and the rook ending should be winning for black. So that's not that obvious at all. I don't know if after rook b1 if we're going rook d4 or not, and rook b4, or just taking an f3, but obviously this ending is... Oh, we can go takes and play g4, can't we? h3, h5, and this is going to be... White's horribly tied down. Okay, so this would have been a catastrophe total for him, but I didn't see it. I didn't see it until Friday, which is when I'm doing this. He actually went there, which made my life a lot easier, because now my knight's out, and I'm actually a pawn up. But apparently this is still... c1. Bishop a5 apparently should be a drawable rook ending. I did huge amounts of analysis, but I should have found rook d2, rook d4, c2, rook d3, and rook d2, which I just didn't see when I was analysing. You miss things. You know, you do this vast and analytical job, and in fact it should be a draw. But okay, he went there. It would have been surprising if he'd gone bishop a5, because he was in time trouble, who knows. And now I am a pawn up for nothing very much. He went there, knight b4, check is a mistake. Bishop takes, pawn takes, check, he can fight, though it's very bad actually. I think I'm going to get the b3 pawn and I should win. Let me just ask its Sublime Majesty at this point. It's just going to say minus plus, isn't it? It says minus plus. Thank you, a great and glorious one. There was a podcast today on the radio, well, not a podcast, a programme on Radio 4 in England, which was a reunion about Deep Blue when it beat Garry Kasparov. And of course, this was a huge event at the time, but nowadays is entirely what you expect. Okay, so what happened was king f8, bishop back, because otherwise f3 check is going to win. If, say, rook takes pawn, f3 check just wins the bishop. If king f1 you go check and knight d3 and you win, I think. Can he? No, he can't even get to the e file. He tries to get to the e file, but you arrange to play king g4 with a rook and h5. Even if he could get to the e file, he'd be dead lost. So what I'm saying is that if king here, check, here, here, check, here. I mean, if you went to g6, you'd win easily, but still, you might as well do it this way. He doesn't even get to play rook e5. Okay, and so I got in rook d3, and he resigned, because I'm threatening f3 check, and if f3, I've got rook takes pawn, and I'm taking the house and the garden, I think. Only could try f3. But I think his bishop doesn't even really have a square, does it? It must be bereft of squares, I think. I think if f3, we can go rook b3, bishop a1, rook a3, bishop f6, knight d5, and we actually trap it. So I'll just show you. So rook d3, f3 is the only move. Take, bishop to there, here, here, here. And the bishop's completely trapped. So there we are. So that was one of the great games of my career, even though, of course, most of my games are slightly unsound somewhere, unfortunately. So, but it did involve not a sacrifice, but effectively a sacrifice on an empty square. So I hope you've enjoyed this. This is going out on Sunday the 4th of September, I believe. And so the next one will be on Sunday the 18th. I have no idea what I'll do at the moment, but I'm sure I'll think of something. So this is me signing off, and see you soon.